All right. I believe everything is good. I'm live. I already have my screen set up to where I'm going to be looking at some videos. So welcome. I'm Mike Caton from Ace Method Coaching. If you don't know who I am, I've got lots of videos on YouTube dedicated to runners and hurdlers. My emphasis these days has mostly been with hurdling, although I can coach pretty much anything in track and field if you need help with anything. But I've just found a niche with hurdling. Just FYI, because I never really talk about this, but I went to school. I have 2 degrees related to this. I have a bachelor's degree in physical education and master's degree in sports sciences. Yes, I ran track growing up. In fact, my whole life growing up. Didn't even do it after high school, but it's always been my favorite sport. And then once I got my degrees and went into teaching, I started off with middle school track and field. Did that for 1 year and then did about 20 years with high school track and field, mostly as a head coach, but also specializing a lot with hurdlers. Somewhere along the line, I just learned enough about it, and I had a lot of success with it, to where athletes from other schools would come to me for help in the summers. And in fact, other coaches from other schools would ask me if I would do clinics for their athletes, which I always thought was very strange. But in the summer, I started doing this, and then after a while, I stopped actually coaching in high school, and all I did was help hurdlers from around our state would come to me, and they ended up with a group of them through COVID, and multiple state champions. In fact, I've coached just hurdlers alone over 50 state finalists and champions. I don't even know how many in addition to hurdling. I just have figured out some things, and they've been very duplicatable, replicatable over certainly the last 10 years, how to make hurdlers get better. So anyway, now all I do is online coaching. I'm helping coaches and I'm helping hurdlers because I've just realized the need for this. There's just, I don't know why, but there's not a lot of coaches out there who know a lot about hurdling. And just because somebody did hurdling and maybe they were good at it, doesn't mean they know how to coach it. And I'm the other way around. I was never some great big time hurdler, but I know how to coach it. And anyway, so what I do here, because I have a subscription where I coach people online for whatever they need, and that's my priority. But I also have a Hurdling 101 video and handout that I sell quite a few of. In fact, 3 of them just today, for people who want to learn how to hurdle step by step, from absolute beginner to proficient. Sometimes people who are not beginners, but they just never learned it properly, I've got to pull them back to start all over and reteach them. And also I sell a whole lot of hurdle training plans to coaches and athletes. But what I do, for a lot of people just ask me questions, and a lot of people send me videos they want me to take a look at. And the only way for me to do it in a way that makes sense is to lump them all into this live stream, and knock them all out at one time. And that way other people can learn from them, because that's people like, they want to learn from other athletes. So today I've got 6 athletes: Benjamin, Tegan, Joshua, Jen, Max, and Bryson. I had one from somebody named Damon, but he didn't tell me which athlete was him, and the camera kind of follows 2 boys. So if you just let me know who you are, I'll put you on next week's one. So I'm going to jump into Benjamin. I don't know anything about Benjamin, but let's check him out. Okay. All right. I've seen this before. So, well, let me just tell you the good things, Benjamin. You're doing great in that you know, you don't seem to be afraid of the hurdle, maintaining pretty good speed. You're able to three-step, and you probably do just fine in races. But let me tell you some things that will take you to the next level. Okay, so first off, that's not a bad step to the hurdle. But I know it seems crazy. Sometimes I feel like I'm like a hurdle whisperer, and I've seen so much that I can just notice things. And what I notice from you is you have this thing where you lean more than you need to lean. You don't need to lean that hard because that hurdle isn't that high. And you're also too high over that hurdle. So, okay, so that's one thing. But also when a person leans that hard, typically, and I think I'm going to see it better on the next hurdle, but sometimes you end up shifting your hips backwards a little bit, right? And also, your leg that plants, your right leg doesn't really fully commit to sending you over that hurdle, because see how it's bent right here? What you want is to plant off of that hurdle, off that leg so hard through this hurdle that it becomes straight, right? And then you launch this way versus, see how high your knee is? You've got your momentum going up a little bit this way. So really push off this leg and push to the top of this hurdle, not over the hurdle, okay? Also, whoa, look at that. So here you are touching down on the ground and you've got your leg over on the side of the lane, even though it should be over on this side of the lane. So, which is unusual, because usually when I see this, the person has swung their lead leg clockwise and it just maintained its momentum that way, but you didn't do that. So I don't really understand. It's not really obvious why that happened. I mean, if you weren't moving forward so fast, you'd fall over right now. Look at that. Wow. Anyway, so I'm just going to keep it really fundamental here. Like, I like the way your lead leg moves. It's tucked under your butt here. Just don't lift your knee higher than this, but you went even higher. And obviously, even though I can't see it, it's got to have some swing coming this way. Try to pull it straight through. Try to drive your knee right to the top of that hurdle, probably on this side of the hurdle. There's a little black square and another black square over here. Try to drive your knee right into that. Okay, and then also stay lower. Also, see if you don't lean quite so hard. And then as you come out of it, at this point, as you are bringing this arm forward and pulling this arm back, try to bring your hips forward to help your lead leg drop sooner. And then also, hopefully, your leg will be underneath you. And then when you're here, again, your hips should be somewhere between here and here is where I want to be, but your hips, you want to have them straight up from your feet. So you come out of this taller. And then the other thing is the way you lope between the hurdles. So you look to me somebody who's hurdled for a while, but you have learned, you've adapted to taking this lopey stride right here. Big jump. See, that's almost like a triple jumper. You know, when you do that, like a deer or a lunge or run, you know, see that? That's not normal. That's actually like triple jumping. You'd probably be a good triple jumper. Good what they call elastic strength. Okay. Yeah, that's not a run, that's a leap. So we need to shorten that. So basically what I'm saying is, I think over time, you probably learned this as you adapted as a young hurdler, and I don't know that you need it anymore. I would bring the hurdles closer. Like, I never have my hurdlers practice at full distance because they end up practicing doing things just like what you're doing, and it just keeps reinforcing a bad habit, and you're going to race like this. What you need to do is pull the hurdles closer. I would say for now about 2 feet closer, so it's going to be about right here, and then practice running over it with full speed and not using that loping stride in the middle. And see if you can do that. You're going to like the way that it feels, and you're going to realize that you can actually cover a lot of ground when you just work on full speed. And then once that becomes comfortable and you push the hurdles out about 6 inches, and then once I get comfortable, we push out about 6 inches. And if you're anywhere about 12 inches off of the official mark at practice, you'll be able to race at this distance. When you got all your adrenaline going and everything, you'll be fine. Just practice properly and you'll be able to race properly. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, I've got a video called How to Coach 100 and 110 meter hurdlers, and it talks about this very concept. So check that out. Okay, moving on to Tegan. So if any of you were watching last week, I already saw a video from Tegan, but Tegan was running in the grass on a slant and the camera was straight on, and I gave him a hard time about that. So he sent me another video so I can see him on the track from the side. And Tegan, well, I'm glad you did it. I'm actually really glad you did it because I'm seeing some things that are way different than what I saw before that you need to work on. So, okay, so I'm going to fix this so I don't have to wait for that anymore. Okay, so first off, Tegan, that is not full speed running. No way. I'm going to play that again. Watch this. Okay, so you need to run full speed at the hurdle, my friend. Let me count your steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so you only need to, let me check something really quick. Check. Okay, just want to make sure. I've had a time before where I was 10 minutes into my live stream and people were trying to yell at me, Coach, we can't hear you. I was just checking to make sure my volume was good. So you need to take 8 steps to the first hurdle. Okay, not 10. And you can do it. Trust me. Look at these baby steps. If you can't do 10, then do 9 and just do the opposite leg in the starting blocks. But everybody who's anybody in hurdling, and unless they're really tall and elite, does 8 steps, not 10 steps. Okay, so 10 steps puts you too close to the hurdle, which means that you have to do funny things with your lead leg, and then you have to slow down. So really, you don't have a lot of speed going into this hurdle because of how slow you came at it. Okay, keep that in mind. And once you do that, it's going to change everything. But this right here, this looks really good. Like you look like the guys in the Olympics right here. You know, your height on the hurdle is great. The fact that you haven't even cleared the hurdle, like that's about even with your, like right here, like it's even with your calf. You've already got your leg coming down. Seriously, this looks fantastic. You got your hand crossing your knee. This no longer looks like an Olympian, no. You were. All this looks great. Okay, so right here, when your foot is down, I said the same thing a second ago to Benjamin, you should be on top of your foot right now. Like you should be straight up. Your hip should be right here instead of 2 feet back. So pull that hip forward. Keep that trail leg high. Your knee should be way up here. But it's partly because of how slow you were going. Everything is going to change. Like I'm giving you feedback now, but honestly, I'm not going to go into too much depth because as soon as you approach that hurdle properly, it is literally going to change everything about what you're doing. So there's almost no point in that. And then so, I want to see something. So even though you came at that hurdle slow, you still did 1. Let me do this. Come on. 2, 3 steps. You're able to 3-step with having no speed. That's pretty awesome. I'm not saying you don't have speed, but the way you ran at that hurdle lost all your speed. And then you did the same thing that Benjamin did, where you step down and you take a big, not as dramatic as Benjamin, because he actually did a really impressive, I don't know why I'm not thinking of the word there, drill in there, but this is really stretched out too, right? And which is very slow. And then another long, slow stride here. So you not only did you lose speed to the first hurdle, you lost speed with every step between the hurdle. And then this looks really great. This is pro level right here. And then it breaks down here because you're just dropping your trail leg versus letting your trail leg go rise up to where the knee is right here. But okay, so go full speed at that hurdle, do it in 8 steps, feel the sensation of going fast, and you're going to see how everything's going to change. But with you, just like with Benjamin, don't practice at full spacing, okay? It just doesn't work. All right, I'm moving on to Joshua. I don't know anything about Joshua either, except that he's in lane 6. So people, when you send me videos, it's always a little bit nice if you tell me something about you, what grade you're in, what it is that you are most trying to fix, so I can try to solve your problem. I mean, I'll probably figure it out, but still, it's this kind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are dark hair, red jersey. Okay, not bad, not bad. I'm going to guess high school, sophomore, I don't know. With potential, some seriously good potential, but just a few things to fix. You very much remind me of, darn it, I'm blanking on the name right now. One of my hurdlers that I do, that I'm featuring on my personal best videos. Westlake. Anyway, because you do the same thing with your trail leg. Colton. So watch my personal best series about Colton Westlake, who's pretty much crushing it right now, but still he does his trail leg like you. So let me tell you, in case people don't know, because I think it's my fault, because I don't think that I've used the right thumbnails and the right titles for these videos. But I'm doing a series of videos where I'm taking hurdlers and I'm letting you in on watching me coach them. So things that they need to work on and how they send me videos each week. And I'm giving them suggestions. And then you get to watch them race, see how they improve. So like that's really cool. but I just don't think that I've done a good job with the titles and thumbnails. So I'm not getting enough views on them. And I thought they were going to explode, but they haven't. So I think I'm going to change the titles and thumbnails soon. YouTube is just tricky. Okay, so here's what I can tell you. So too high over that hurdle, okay? That's the first thing. But so you should be touching down like with your toe right here and then full foot here, but you still have to drop more because you were too high. But that's overall not bad. Keep in mind that your hand needs to be past your knee as it comes across, right? We call it brushing the knee or cutting off the knee. So your hand is too far out. You also see how you're staying leaning even now as you come off the hurdle, you're still leaning. As you start coming off the hurdle, you want to start standing up, because as you stand up and pull your hips forward, it drops your lead leg down faster, okay? And then you are up to running sooner. But you are staying in this position, which just makes you float longer, okay? So you want to be hitting the ground now versus here. The leg looks good. Again, the arm needs to be bent, go past this, and then your trail arm's not bad, but you want to bring it through forcefully. Wham, right here, right? Okay, so let me watch you run. Not bad dynamics with the trail legs. Pretty darn good, actually. Not a bad step there. Not a bad step there. And then you are going into the hurdle. It's funny because you should be leaning more now. Like you were almost straight up and down, but you should be leaning like this guy. And I don't know why you're not. You want to lean into the hurdle, like right here, when your plant leg looks fully extended. That's really good. Drive this knee right into the top of that hurdle and then lean into it. Your arms look pretty good. I do think that you have your left arm crossing the midline of your body, and that's a little bit too much. But it's not bad. But definitely you could have pushed off a little harder into this direction, and you could be leaning at this point. But you're waiting until you're almost at the apex of your jump to start leaning. See that? And then you lean too long. So you want to lean at the beginning as you ascend the hurdle, and then you want to stand up out of it as you descend the hurdle. Okay? That's going to help you. Again, good. I like that trail leg. I like that trail leg a lot, the way it comes down fast. I like the way that you're actually minimizing your heel recovery. I don't know if that's intentional, but it's really good. This step here, leading into your last step, is too extended. If anything, you want to take a little bit bigger step here so that you could take a smaller step here, which will help you stay lower over this hurdle. Okay? And then here you go, jumping without any lean. Okay, so what's interesting is when I look at you slow motion, I'm thinking, this is a great trail leg, but it's funny when I watched you full speed. Okay, now look at this. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But when I watch you, when you're racing at full speed, it's obvious to me that you are over-rotating your trail leg and bringing it too far around when you need to start dropping it sooner, okay? Like when it's at about 11 o'clock. On the clock. So, and the way you're running here, kind of like leaning forward. Okay. Okay, you leaned here. You're inconsistent. You're very inconsistent. So try to be more consistent. At this point, your heel should be tucked more into your butt. Like you shouldn't start. Even still here, your heel should be up here. This should be like driving really hard to the hurdle. And now you should start unfurling your knee, your foot, your lower leg. You should be leaning more. Okay, so I like your trail leg. Just start driving it down like when it's here versus waiting until it gets here. Does that make sense? That'll make you faster. But you had a lot of good stuff going on. I really do think you're full of potential. I really do. Okay, hope that helps. Moving on to, I think her name is Lex because the mom is Jen and she was yelling, "Go Lex," I think. She wins this race. She's wearing the yellow jersey. I think it's this one here. And she's in the 8th grade, and this is only her second meet. See how much more interesting this is when I know stuff about these people? It gives me perspective. Okay, also know that this is a little bit different because I had to download it from YouTube. So I don't think it'll make a difference past this point, but that's why you saw some things that were different. Okay, so she is a 4-stepper, and she goes over the first hurdle with her left leg, which in my experience, most people in this situation, that would mean that her left leg is her preferred leg. So I'm gonna, yeah, I think so. Okay, so I'm gonna watch, actually I'm gonna watch her left leg right here. Whoa, okay. Okay, so first off, she's too close to the hurdle. That's because she's 4-stepping. But if she can't 3-step yet, then that's okay. So let me show you the issue with 4-stepping. And by the way, I recommend, I've got 2 videos on YouTube. One is about 4-stepping and one is about 3-stepping. And that will help you a lot. If she's going to 4-step, she needs to take slightly smaller, quicker strides so that she doesn't do what she's doing right here, and I'll show you what it is. Because she's too close, watch what her leg does. See how it turns in like that? That's because she knows if she brings it straight up, she'll kick it with her shin. So she has to do this to avoid that, right? Plus, it also, by being too close to the hurdle, it forces her to be too high. So she's probably 1.5 feet over that hurdle. Okay, plus her arms are out like helicopter propellers. Plus, let's watch what her trail leg does. Okay, trail leg didn't come through properly. You should also watch my video about technique in the 100-meter hurdles, and I show some Olympians. Also, if you haven't downloaded my 6 techniques to level up your hurdling, which you can get from my website at acemethodcoaching.com, that'll break this down. The trail leg isn't right. It needs to, well, part because she's too high, but it needs to, at this point, her lower leg should be parallel to the ground. And then as she pulls it through, the knee keeps coming and then just drives hard off of it. But see how she's almost falling backwards at this point and her leg is way out in front of her? She's way off balance, partly because of all the things that went wrong, because of the swinging lead leg too high. So she has to deal with the gravity pulling her down here, okay? And then so out here, again, too close to the hurdle, but now she's going over with what I'm guessing is her non-dominant leg, and she's just hoping to just get over it, and then she just pulls her trail leg underneath her versus bringing it to the side so that she can go lower. So think about this, when you pull your trail leg underneath you, you have to jump high enough to where your foot doesn't hit it. So then you're 2 feet over the hurdle. Look at her hips, right? And then you got to now deal with the gravity pulling you down, 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 down. And then watch, gravity's not done. I would put money on it that this knee is now going to buckle a little bit. And it's going to take a step and a half to get out of it. Oh my gosh. I was wrong. That's very rare. Probably because she's not going that fast. Okay, darn it. I shouldn't have said that. I embarrassed myself live. Okay, but it's still not right. I mean, it just looks like she just walked off of that hurdle. So, I'm sorry that I didn't start off with the good stuff, okay? Which I want to do that all the time, but I should have. Let me tell you what she's doing great, in addition to just beating all of her competitors. So obviously, she's ahead of most everybody. So she's working really hard and not losing any speed, where all of her competitors are all taking these baby steps to slow down. She's more aggressive, keeping the speed, very athletic looking, and it's very impressive. So with that being said, now go back and think about the feedback that I just said. I think she would benefit from my Hurdling 101 because it would show her how to learn the technique properly, because it also shows her how to run between the hurdles, because I think she probably could three-step. I really do. When I watch her, she's getting too close to the hurdle with 4 steps, yet she's not running her fastest, and she's jumping 2 feet over the hurdle, and with bad form. And every time she does that, she loses speed, yet she's still able to 4-step and get too close to the hurdle. I think she's an 8th grader that could 3-step. And then she'd be finishing the race right now. Okay. So I also have Hurdling 101 talks a lot about 3-stepping. Plus, if you heard me talk about the other videos, I have a 3-step video and a 4-step video that will walk you through that. But she's got a ton of potential, and I'm glad I'm sorry that I went right into some criticism. But I think she's obviously way ahead of the game for an 8th grader. But I have coached some state champion 8th graders, and they all looked like they had her potential, but I taught them how to 3-step and made all the difference. And 2 of them, in fact, those 2, in fact, I've taught 3 who were that good. 2 of them went on to be high school state champions. So just saying. Okay, I'm going now on to Max. The only thing I know about Max is he is in lane 3, which this seems to be Max right here. Okay. I feel like, Max, I've seen your video before. I feel like we've had this discussion, but it was not as good of a video. And because I couldn't be 100% certain, I don't want to embarrass myself again. So, okay, overall, not bad, Max. Good aggression. Looks like you're working hard to maintain your speed. Let me see what I can help you with. So obviously, when I look at your hips here, I see it from way up here to drop about 1.5 feet, right? That's because you're too high over the hurdle. And if you've seen my stuff before, first thing you need to do is learn how to leap right into the top of that hurdle and trust that all the drills you've done will cause your legs to wrap around it, because jumping just slows you. That's the number one thing. Okay. Okay, let me watch this. Your trail leg is not bad, except that you need to keep your heel tucked into your butt longer. Even still here, even still here. It should just start to be unfurling, and then driving this knee right into this box right here that's on the other side of that hurdle. But yours just continues to rise. And then, so you see how high you are? Okay. And you already have your trail leg too far forward, which means that you didn't drive hard enough off of this leg. There needs to be like this fraction of a second where you are like really diving into this, pushing hard off of here and getting a good stretch. And then you pull your lead leg through, because then the timing happens better. Like, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with what you're doing. It's just too high. And then again, drive harder off this trail leg. So it's just too far too soon. And then, well, you hit the hurdle, which is ironic because you're so high, but it's because you pulled your trail leg through too soon. Okay. And so it's just dangling there. So that's not a good example. I think you nicked it again. And then your trail leg is just dropping, dropping, dropping. And really what it should be when you're right here, like this isn't bad. This isn't bad. You need to have your hips more forward, because see how it's about 10 inches behind you. Relatively speaking though, it's not bad, but your knee should be higher. Okay. So your hip, your knee, your lower leg, and your foot should be about right here. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Okay. So you got a lot of good things going, but learn to trust the hurdle. So I would practice with a little lower hurdle, practice running with maintaining horizontal velocity. Just get used to what that sensation is like, and then gradually raise up the hurdle without getting any higher over that hurdle, and you'll know this is jumping and landing. You want to feel what it feels like to go horizontal full speed over that. Okay, last one. And by the way, when I'm done with this, I'll check to see if anybody has left me any questions on YouTube. But I'm looking at Bryson at practice. Come on. Okay. Okay. Bryson, you got like some of the guys I've seen today, you got a lot of good stuff going on. See, I'm learning my lesson from Lex, and I went right into the negative stuff. So Bryson, what I like, you don't go very high, and you're not slowing down. You look athletic. But let me show you what you can do to be better. There's something I'm already noticing. Yeah. So, okay. Okay. So let's watch your right foot. Landing, left foot landing. I can already tell that you are like doing something funny. You got your right foot close to the left side of the lane, which tells me you're already setting yourself up to do something that isn't just forward. And now you're like bringing your leg around. I can just see it, because what you're trying to do is, we'll see how this foot is turning, and then you've got it swinging from you've twisted your body in, right? Can you see yourself shift in here and lift your leg funny, and then now you got this, your hip is rotated in and you've lifted this out to the side versus pulling it straight through. See how it's sideways? Look at that. Okay, that's a problem. And I don't know why you're doing that. I mean, you're probably too close to the hurdle. Like I've talked to a few people already here. When you're too close to the hurdle, you're going to do things like this in order to not kick it into the hurdle. So I would practice. You need to be about 7 or 8 feet away from this pole, back this way, and get comfortable jumping from there. I shouldn't say jumping, leaping, okay? Planting there and then leaping to the top of this hurdle so you don't do this. So now let's think about this. You've taken your leg and you've turned it sideways and you're swinging it counterclockwise. And so that's just going to mess with your balance. See, here you are, off balance. You got your arms up here so that you don't fall down. And then you're leaning into the camera right now. You're like you're ready to fall. And you're swinging now this around clockwise because the other leg was going counterclockwise. So you're coming out of that. And this is going counterclockwise. So look at this. Here's the way everything works. Opposite reaction, and the upper and the lower body have to counter each other. If this is going to swing counterclockwise, and your upper body has to swing clockwise, and then when it comes out of it, now this is going to has to overcome the over rotation of this leg and swing too much this way, and then this has to, so you don't fall, twist too much this way. So now you're all twisted right here, right? So it would have been saved if you had just landed somewhere back here. You're going to have to measure it yourself. Come straight at this hurdle with your lead leg. Keep yourself straight like this. Keep your shoulders straight. Okay? And then when you come off, you'll be much, much better. Okay? You won't be falling like this. Yeah, see, you're just all over the place. Look at this. Again, you have your right leg almost on the left lane. It's something that you're subconsciously doing because you know that you want to swing this leg around. So I think you're kind of putting yourself over to the left side of the lane so that you could swing it around on the right without kicking the person in the other lane or something like that. You probably don't even realize you're doing it, but you are. And watch this. Look how off balance. Remember I told you guys about my personal best videos? I'm doing one on a college hurdler named Mark Andre. He does a similar thing, but his is because of his arm, but he's all over the place like this. Yeah, dude, look at that. All this weird running is, unless there's something I don't know about you, it's just because you're trying to maintain your balance because of the way you're getting all off balance. And so anyway, I won't keep repeating myself. You need to step back a little bit, pull your lead leg straight, try to keep everything forward and none of this twisting, none of the rotational forces, and you will be much better. So I'm going to jump out. Benjamin, yeah, I saw your video last time. Hey, Coach, I was wondering if you could recommend some good leg workouts. Good work. Okay, leg workouts for speed in between the hurdle. Not really 100% sure what you're asking for. I'll just try to cover all the bases right now. So let me jump out to here so you guys aren't staring at that. Okay, so to answer your question, let me turn my camera a little bit. To answer your question, how to get faster between the hurdle, first is just running properly, with good sprint technique. And so that means, man, I'll tell you what, you know what, I'm not going to do right here. Let's see here. Basically, try to run without stretching out. Don't run on your heels. Get up tall, get your hips forward, and run striking the ground on the balls of your feet, right? And you want to turn them over fast. You want to try to avoid stretching yourself so much, and you want to try to bring your heel up to your butt from underneath you versus going all the way around and coming back this way. Takes too long, okay? So when you can run faster like that, you will naturally cover more ground and it will help you get to the next hurdle in 3 steps. It's counterintuitive because most people think, oh, that's so far away, I can only do it in 3 steps, so therefore I've got to take these really long strides. But those are slow strides, right? So you want to just practice running full speed and let your speed make up more ground. So that has to do with technique. If you're talking about exercises to do, then you're talking about strength and power exercises. Geez, I mean, that fundamentally it's the, squats, lunges, step ups are all those things that work compound movements that work your hips, your glutes, your hamstrings, everything, and it's flexing your hips and flexing your knees all at the same time. Those are the great things to do. Those are the most fundamental things for strength. And then you have to add power onto that. So once you have a foundation of strength, then you can have power. So that's with bounding, jumping, jumping over hurdles, doing bounding drills. One of my favorite is to do step up jumps. So you get on a box or you get like a step in the bleachers and you put one leg on there, and instead of just doing a step up, you jump up and then jump up and you jump up, really pushing into that bench. And that's really good on working the muscles that are going to drive you back against the track. So hopefully that answered your question. We'll go from there. Let me see if I've got anything else. I don't have anything else. So I will be, as I always do, dealing with my subscribers throughout the week. Let me get back to here. I'm dealing with my subscribers during the week. I'm also trying to crank out some YouTube videos. Right now, my emphasis has been on these personal best videos. And in case you missed the beginning of this video, personal best is where I'm taking like 6 different athletes and I'm showing their progress, showing that they've got problems just like everyone who I've looked at today. I'm coaching people just like that, helping them correct it. Then we get to watch them race, see if they've improved it. And it's just week by week seeing their progress. So there's going to be somebody in there that relates to you. So I highly recommend that you check it out. I mean, I've got mostly high schoolers, but I even got a collegiate, and I'm trying to put out one now for a master's track and field guy who's a sprinter who's trying to transition into hurdles. That's going to be really interesting. So there's some good stories in there too. And I've got more of them coming out. I think I've only published 3 or 4, but I've got 3 or 4 more people. But it's just a matter of finding time to make all these videos. But anyway, that's that. Also, if you like this, if you like the way I coach here, that's what I do. I do this free for one time. It's good for business. It's good for people who want to see more. These live streams are fun. Beyond that, if you want more, I'll do a single review for $29. But the smart play is to join my Ace Hurdler subscription, which is $29 for a month. And that is unlimited. So people literally will send me videos from practice, their meets, and say, what am I doing? What do I need to change for next week? What are some exercises I should do? Whatever. Some people want workouts, some people don't. They just want me to give them tips and tricks, things like that. So super smart play to do that. So anyway, that works really well. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a good week. I'm going to be on the road some, as this is my spring break. But I'll still be dealing with my emails and stuff like this. And probably in another week's time, put out another one of these live streams. So have a good day.